The first thing I noticed when I stepped out of the taxi wasn't the house. It was the quiet. Not the peaceful kind that people write about in postcards, where wind moves gently through trees and everything feels untouched. This quiet felt different. It sat heavy in the air, like something had been waiting too long and forgotten how to breathe. The driver asked if I needed help with my bag. I told him no. My voice sounded unfamiliar, rougher than I remembered, like it had learned to survive, shouting over gunfire and hadn't quite adjusted to normal conversation yet. He nodded and drove off, leaving me alone on the street I had dreamed about for months. Home. I stood there for a moment, my boots planted on cracked pavement, staring at the small house with its faded blue paint and crooked mailbox. The front porch light flickered weakly even though it was morning. Someone had left it on. I don't know why that detail hit me the hardest. Maybe because it felt like someone had been expecting me, or maybe because I wasn't sure I deserved it. I picked up my bag and walked toward the door. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if something inside me was resisting, pulling me backward, reminding me that the man who left wasn't the one who came back. When I reached the porch, I hesitated. My hand hovered over the door, fingers trembling slightly. I told myself it was just exhaustion. That's what I'd been telling myself about everything lately. The door opened before I could knock. My sister stood there, frozen for a second, her eyes wide like she wasn't sure I was real. Then she covered her mouth, and the sound she made broke something in my chest. Daniel. I didn't remember dropping my bag. I just remember her arms around me, tight, desperate, like she was trying to hold me together. Or maybe hold herself together. You're back, she whispered against my shoulder. I nodded, but the word stuck in my throat back. It sounded too simple for something that had taken so much to survive. Inside, the house smelled the same. Old wood, faint coffee, a trace of something sweet I couldn't place. It should have felt comforting. Instead, it felt like walking into a memory that didn't belong to me anymore. We talked, or at least she did. She told me about everything I'd missed, filling the space with stories about neighbors, repairs, small everyday things. I listened, nodding when I needed to, but part of me stayed somewhere else. Somewhere loud. Somewhere I couldn't turn off. By evening, the exhaustion caught up with me. It wasn't the kind of tired that sleep fixes. It was deeper, woven into muscle and bone. I'll let you rest, my sister said softly. Your room's the same. Of course it was. That was the problem. I walked down the hallway slowly, each step echoing too loudly in the quiet house. My room door creaked the same way it always had. The bed was neatly made, sheets tucked tight like I used to prefer. I sat on the edge of it, staring at the wall. For a moment, everything was still. Then a car passed outside, its engine backfiring slightly. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I was on the floor, heart racing, breath shallow, every muscle tense, waiting for something that wasn't coming. When I realized where I was, I let out a slow breath and sat back against the bed. My hands were shaking. Just a car, I muttered. Just a car. I lay down eventually, staring at the ceiling. Sleep felt close, hovering just out of reach like it was testing me. I must have drifted off for a few minutes, because the knock on my door pulled me back. Daniel? My sister's voice. Yeah, I said, sitting up. There's someone outside. He says he wants to talk to you. I frowned. Who? She hesitated. Mr. Carter from next door. I didn't remember him well. Just a vague image of an older man who kept to himself. Tell him I'll be out, I said. When I stepped onto the porch, the sky was turning orange with sunset. Mr. Carter stood by the fence, hands in his pockets, watching me like he'd been waiting a long time. He nodded when he saw me. You made it back. Yeah. We stood there in silence for a moment. Then he stepped closer, lowering his voice slightly, as if what he was about to say mattered more than anything else. Don't expect much sleep tonight. I blinked, caught off guard. What? He studied my face carefully like he was measuring something. Just trust me. First night's the hardest. I forced a small smile. I've had a few hard nights before. He didn't smile back. That's not what I mean. Before I could ask anything else, he turned and walked away, leaving me standing there with a strange unease settling in my chest. That night I understood what he meant. At first it was quiet. Too quiet. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling again, listening to the faint hum of electricity, the occasional creak of the house settling. Normal sounds, harmless. Then came the first noise. A distant thud, soft, almost unnoticeable. I held my breath, listening. Another one. Closer. My heart began to race, the rhythm instantly familiar. My body tensed, every instinct screaming at me to move, to react, to survive. It's nothing, I whispered to myself. But then the noise came again, sharper this time. And suddenly I wasn't in my room anymore. I was back there. The darkness felt the same. The silence before chaos. The way the air seemed to hold its breath right before everything shattered. I sat up, pressing my hands against my ears, trying to ground myself. "You're home," I said out loud. "You're safe." But the sounds didn't stop. Footsteps, or something like footsteps. Not outside. Inside. My chest tightened. I knew it wasn't real. It couldn't be. But knowing didn't make it stop. I stood up slowly, my legs unsteady. The hallway was dark, shadows stretching longer than they should. Every corner felt like it was hiding something. "Hello?" I called out. No answer. Of course not. I walked forward anyway, each step careful, controlled, like I had been trained. The house felt unfamiliar now, like it had changed while I wasn't looking. Another sound. Right behind me. I spun around, my breath catching. Nothing, just the empty hallway. I pressed my hand against the wall, trying to steady myself. My pulse pounded in my ears so loudly it drowned out everything else. Then I heard it. A voice. Soft. Barely a whisper. "Daniel." My stomach dropped. It wasn't my sister. It wasn't anyone who should have been there. I turned slowly, my throat dry. "Who's there?" Silence. Then again, closer this time. "Daniel." The voice was familiar. Too familiar. And that's when I understood. It wasn't coming from the house. It was coming from me, from the part of me I had brought back. I staggered back into my room, shutting the door behind me, pressing my back against it like that could keep it out. My breathing was uneven, my hands trembling uncontrollably. "You're not there," I said. "You're not real." But the memories didn't care about reality. They came anyway. Faces I couldn't forget. Voices I couldn't silence. Moments that replayed over and over, refusing to fade. I sank to the floor, my head in my hands. And for the first time since I got back, I let myself feel everything I had been holding in. The guilt. The fear. The weight of surviving when others didn't. Hours passed like that, or maybe minutes. Time didn't make sense anymore. Eventually the house grew quiet again. The kind of quiet that felt less threatening, more empty. I stayed on the floor staring at nothing, until the first light of morning slipped through the window. A knock came at the door. Soft. Gentle. "Daniel?" My sister's voice. "Are you okay?" I swallowed hard before answering. Yeah, it wasn't true. But it was the only answer I had. Later that morning I stepped outside again. The air felt different in daylight. Lighter. Less suffocating. Mr. Carter was already there, leaning against the fence like he had been the day before. He looked at me, taking in the dark circles under my eyes the way I carried myself. "Told you," he said quietly. I walked closer, stopping a few feet away. "How did you know?" He sighed, looking out at the street instead of at me. "Because I've been there." That caught me off guard. He turned to face me fully, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Recognition. "Different war," he said. "Same ghosts." I didn't know what to say. "You don't leave it behind," he continued. "You just learn how to live with it." I let that sink in. "Does it ever stop?" I asked. He shook his head slowly. "No, but it gets quieter." Quieter. Not gone. Just manageable. I nodded, looking back at the house. It didn't feel like home yet. Maybe it wouldn't for a while. But for the first time since I arrived, I didn't feel completely alone. "Come by tonight," he added. "We'll sit, talk, or not talk. Doesn't matter." I hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." As I turned back toward the house, I realized something had shifted. The night had been brutal, but I had made it through. And maybe that was enough for now. Maybe healing didn't come all at once. Maybe it came like this, in quiet moments, in shared understanding, in choosing to face another night even when you knew it wouldn't be easy. I paused at the door, taking a deep breath before stepping inside. The house still felt unfamiliar, but not impossible. And for the first time since I got back, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, eventually, I would sleep again.